Liz, a very warm welcome to Facing the Canon. Thank you for joining us. Let's start at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Suffolk, in the east of England.
And 3 brothers?
Yes, 3 older brothers. I was the youngest of 4.
Right, so how was that growing up?
Noisy. That was me. Yes, I fought my corner very well. Yeah,
Did you?
Had a great upbringing, yeah.
So you quite assertive as a child?
I feel we all were, to be honest. We were a very noisy household, very happy household, but 3 older brothers that enjoyed sort of football, and so I did the opposite of everything that they did. But yeah, it was an amazing upbringing, amazing parents.
Now, you got the opportunity, I think you got a scholarship to go to grammar school, but you didn't want to go.
No, I didn't like the uniform. I didn't like the uniform, and I didn't much care for being picked up at 7:30 in the morning. So, and also all my friends were going to another school because I passed my 11 plus. I was actually the only person in school to do that. So I got a scholarship to a grammar school, but kind of decided I wanted to be with my friends. And I think my parents just got a little tired of arguing, so said, so what, just go ahead and do it. And actually, it was a good choice.
And now, when you were a teenager, you started dating.
Yes.
And then you got engaged at the age of?
16.
16. So what was the reaction from your parents?
You know, my parents were really fine about it. I think that they were people of great faith, and they'd entrusted God to, you know, look after their children, and they just felt, they met Mark, my husband, and they just really loved him. They loved him like another son, and I think they felt that he was a safe pair of hands, strangely. and you know, they were just really happy about it. You know, it's amazing when you think about it, but they were really
How
content.
old were you when you met Mark?
At 14.
So you dated for 2 years.
Yeah.
He then proposed.
Yeah.
You said yes.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you got married?
17.
17?
Yeah.
And how old was Mark?
He's 8 years older than me.
Right.
So he was 22 when we met and got married, and when he was 25, and we're just celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary, so you can work out the maths.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, so then what did you do when you left school?
When I left school, I had absolutely no clue what I was going to do. I wasn't career-minded at all, and obviously I wasn't going to go on to uni or anything, so I was sitting in a dental surgery with no clue of what job I was going to do, and I looked around. It was a really kind of nice place to be. It was quite futuristic, and I suddenly had an idea. I said to the dentist, I've always wanted to be a dental nurse, which I only just thought of there and then. And he just said, well, that's an amazing thing because we have a job.
Oh.
And if you'd like to apply. So about 2 weeks later, I ended school and started being a dental nurse, and did that for a couple of years.
But while you were doing that, you began to explore other possibilities as well.
Well, it was money. I had no money. I don't think you're prepared when you first get married at any age, but certainly when I was 17, for how poor I was going to be. And you don't realise how much your parents pay for. And I suddenly thought, I've got to make some extra money. So I had to explore what else I could do. And I heard about this opportunity to become a skincare consultant for a company. And I thought, well, I'll give it a whirl. And so I did, and I just found my niche, I guess.
And you were around 18 when
Yes, 18, yeah.
Now, but by the time you were 20, you had consultants working for you.
Yes, I did. I guess what I did what I do naturally, which is communicate. You know, I'm not particularly an academic, but one thing I can do is talk, and I've made a career out of it. And I found I could talk to other women, and slowly but surely, well, actually quite rapidly, these other women would say, well, I quite fancy what you're doing. How could I do it? So by the time I was 20, I had 2,000 consultants that I had actually brought into the business. I was living in East Anglia, and they were in London and the home counties and East Anglia. And I just did what I did naturally. It sounds ridiculous, but it wasn't really a huge effort. It just poured out of me, just being a magnet for other women, I guess.
So your enthusiasm is very contagious then. So you just naturally talked about what you were doing, and these women just wanted to do it. So you just brought them in.
Yeah. That's what I do today.
That's what you
40
do
years
today.
later.
So, right, you're 20 years of age.
Yeah.
You're now pretty, I mean, that's quite successful for a 20-year-old
Yes.
to have so many consultants.
Yes.
So then what did that lead into?
Well, the company was owned by Gillette, obviously a large corporation, and I think I was spotted by Gillette, and they identified me as, I think it was classified as a young, promising manager, and I was noticed in the company. So I ended up having a corporate position because I started off as a self-employed consultant, having my own business, and then eventually, I guess they just pulled me in and I became part of the corporation. So yes, I stayed with that company for 8 years, I think.
And then you moved into the body shop.
Well, via a manufacturing company.
Yes.
I stayed within cosmetics, but I had an opportunity to work for a manufacturer. And my job was to create concepts and sell them into companies like Marks and Spencer, and I did that very successfully. But one of my customers ended up being the Body Shop. And in the interview for this job in this manufacturing company, they asked me, did I know Anita Roddick, who's the founder of the Body Shop? And it just so happens that 2 weeks before, I had been at a luncheon of 1,000 people and Anita was there. So in the interview, that became a bit of spin. And I said, oh yes, yeah, I was actually having lunch with her a couple of weeks ago.
Which was true.
It was true, absolutely.
Which was true.
It just happened to be at the Ritz in London.
With 1,999
other people. And
so they were impressed that you had lunch with her.
Yes, and I got the job. And on my first day, I was inquiring about the Body Shop and what they'd done previously. And to my horror, my boss said to me, well, no, we don't have that business, but obviously because you know Anita very well, we've hired you. Oh my gosh, my exaggerating really has beaten me this time. But I went out and got the business with the Body Shop and ended up then changing from being a supplier to actually working for the company.
But you went on a flight, and you ended up sitting next to.
I know that was a miracle. There is no doubt about it. I was sitting on a flight waiting to go to Germany, and they said, we're waiting for one more passenger. If they don't come on any minute, then we're going to take their bags and we'll take off. And the seat was next to me, and suddenly Anita Roddick was going, I don't believe it, you're on this flight. And you couldn't pin her down for even a 10-minute meeting.
Yes.
And then we were going to have this exclusive 2 hours together, during which time she said to me, why don't you come and work for me? And so, all right then.
So that was more than a coincidence.
Oh, amazing.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Do you think that was God orchestrated?
Oh, completely. You couldn't describe it. What would be the chances of that? And I guess I wasn't looking to change. I wasn't looking for a change of employment, but it seemed such a right thing to do. And now I look back, that each of those positions were strategic in being what I am today and what I do today, really.
So when you, Anita came and sat next to you, okay, owner of the Body Shop, founder and all that.
Yes.
So then from London to Germany, you did a pitch to her.
Not knowingly. I didn't even realise what she was doing. I think this is the whole point. I do what I do naturally. I am naturally enthusiastic, and I'm kind of evangelistic. If I like something, I just talk about it. I guess she saw that enthusiasm and passion, and she felt, well, I'd quite like to work with that directly rather than indirectly. So
yeah. Now, your husband Mark, I mean, he was an engineer.
Yes.
But then he joined the Body Shop as well.
Yes.
And then the two of you started to work together.
Yes. And they didn't even ask me. They invited him to have a chat. He just met them socially, and I think they thought, well, he's a really nice guy. And in those days, that's how you got a job in the Body Shop. There were lots of jobs going, and often it happened by having a conversation. And he came to me and said, hey, you'll never guess what? They've offered me a job working with you in this division of the Body Shop. And I thought, I haven't even asked me what I would think about working with my husband. I mean, it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea.
No.
It works for us. But again, that was another important stepping stone in what, would eventually be us running our own business.
In one interview, you said that you and your husband, Mark, two sides of the same coin. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
in other words,
of the coin.
what were you meaning by that?
Well, Mark's an engineer, and what comes with that is a mindset. He's a perfectionist. He's very pedantic about detail. He likes things done just so. I tend to take a broader picture. He gets things done. I have ideas, he makes them happen.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in product and people and brand, and he's very interested in business. So actually, it is a perfect marriage in the
Yes.
business sense, really.
So in the Body Shop, in the area that you were given, how successful were you?
To be honest, amazingly successful. We had an opportunity to take a business over that wasn't doing terribly well, and we put a proposal forward to the board of the Body Shop that we would like to relaunch that brand. It was called Colourings. It was a makeup brand worldwide, and they gave us that opportunity, and it took us 1 year to completely relaunch the brand, and we went around the world and relaunched it to Body Shop franchisees, and we took the sales from about 3 million to 124 million in 4 years. So
Well, that's,
by results, it was
did
amazing.
that exceed your expectations?
Oh, way.
Way
Yes,
beyond
way
it.
beyond, yes. Yeah, it was a real success story.
So that was going well, but a sense that there must be something else or something more. And you ended up meeting Richard Branson. How did that come about?
Well, while we were in the Body Shop, I think we started to feel that maybe it was time for us to create our own brand. We were doing this for other people, and so might this be the time for Mark and Liz to create their own cosmetic brand? So we came up with a concept. We called it V, which is French for life, and we were kind of getting excited about this idea, and then felt maybe we ought to talk to someone bigger. Someone who had more money than us, and we were out to dinner with some friends, and they were saying, well, come on, when are you going to launch this brand? And I said, well, we don't know whether it's the right time to launch a niche brand. It was all about power labels and big brands like Coca-Cola and Nike, and I said, I just wonder if we ought to talk to a big power brand. And they said, like who? So I said, well, you know, like Virgin. And the whole table laughed and said, yeah, right, so you're going to get hold of Richard Branson. And it's like the best thing you can say to me is you can't do something. So you don't think I can get a hold of Richard Branson? I'll show you. And within a very short time, we were in his house in Holland Park presenting the concept.
So you managed to get an appointment?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I think he only gives a 20-minute appointment.
Yes. So it's too complex to explain, but it was another miracle. Getting a meeting with Richard Branson was a miracle. And so we went to his home, we took our concept, and we were told that the appointment was at 2:20 on a Thursday. And we were with him 2 hours, so 20 minutes became 2 hours, and at the end of which he said, so it's V, so it'd be Virgin V. Yeah, I like it. That sounds really good. And that was his way of sort of saying, let's do a deal. I think we walked down the street still going, do you think he said yes?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So obviously he put money into this.
Yes, in essence.
In
We had
essence.
to raise the money, actually.
Yes.
We personally had to raise the money through the city and through investors. But we left the Body Shop. We started this brand from scratch, so it was Virgin V, and we got our team together, and in 18 months we took it from an idea to rolling out in stores and a direct sales business and online, and yeah, amazing.
How many
Whirlwind.
years did you do that for?
3 years.
3.
Yeah.
So a Body Shop, a Virgin V, I mean, in many ways you're kind of looking after other people's children.
Yes.
So was that did you start feeling a little bit frustrated?
You know, it's funny that you have these epiphany moments, maybe many in your life or maybe few, but there are times when you'd have to say, we had an epiphany moment. And I think it was when Mark suddenly said to me, you know what, Liz, we were really good nannies at the Body Shop. We knew it wasn't our baby, but we looked after that with love and care, and we were a safe pair of hands. You know what we are in Virgin? We're surrogate parents. And it was when he said that to me, I just thought, you're absolutely right. I gave birth to that baby. I named it, I felt the pain, but it's not mine, really. I have to give it back. And I guess in that moment, there was a knowing deep within our hearts that sort of said, you know, you're destined for something different. And Mark also said, you know, I just believe this has been training. I don't think this is the destination. I think this is part of our journey, and we've learned our craft, and now is the time for us to go it alone.
And that's when you decided to have a sabbatical.
Yes.
So when you decided to have a sabbatical, a break, you didn't actually know what you were going to end up doing.
No, not at all. I think we just truly felt it's exhausting. You know, you're working 24/7, and it was amazing, but very, very tiring. And we'd lost 3 parents during that time, and I think we suddenly felt, you know, we're on this crazy roller coaster, and I think there might be a time for us to step back and review and recharge and consider our future. And we had an opportunity to leave at a certain time, and we felt there were other people that could take the company forward probably better than us. And so in that industry, very often you have a non-compete imposed on you, which we did. So we had a legitimate time out to rethink.
And then you toured the Mediterranean.
We did.
That was during your sabbatical.
Yes, we sort of, we've always found travel a way of escape. We love travel, and so we hadn't a clue where to go or what to do. So we bought a one-way ticket to Calais, drove our car, and I remember looking at the map, the huge map of Europe, and all I cared about was seeing the blue sea at the bottom. And I said to Mark, let's just get down to the south as soon as we possibly can. And we'd no clue really where we were going or what we were doing, but we had a car and suddenly felt, you know, we've done Asia, America, we've never done all the countries in the Mediterranean. What about that being the focus for this trip? And again, only God could have known how purposeful that would be, because our brand today is very much inspired by the Mediterranean. So it ended up being the fodder, if you like, for the future dream.
And then you found yourself in my country of origin,
Indeed.
Cyprus.
Yes.
And you woke up one morning, and that was the day you were going to renew your marriage vows.
Yes.
Was there something wrong with your marriage?
Well, you know, that's a funny thing, because when we use the term renew your vows, I felt, well, you know, I've kept them.
Yes.
But maybe we need to set some new ones.
Oh.
At 17, what do you know? I just knew I loved my husband, and I don't know if I said I'd obey, probably not.
Yes.
But, you know, it just felt like we've got a sense of future here. So why don't we seal it and just recognise the fact we've got an amazing marriage, but, you know, let's think what that looks like for the future. We still didn't know really what we were going to do in our future. And Mark would constantly say, you know, what about this? What about that? What about us having our own brands? And I said, Mark, I think I've given all my ideas away. I don't think I've got any more ideas. And then the morning we were going to renew our vows, Mark went and had a swim in the hotel pool, and he was swimming and looked out and saw the Mediterranean Sea and the sky and the pool, and he thought, I've got to take that photo. So he took the photo, came back to the bedroom, and I was having my early morning tea, and he showed me the picture, and I looked at it, and I quite literally said, what do you think of the name Temple Spa? And he, being the person that he is, said, I love it. And immediately went on the balcony and started calling trademark lawyers and saying, I want to register the name Temple Spa. Yes, every region. I know I'm there thinking it was just an idea. And that was the birth of Temple Spa. That was the conception, yeah.
And right, so Temple Spa, those two words, what do they mean to you?
Well, from a personal point of view, obviously, your body is a temple. It's a gift. And I think life is the most incredible thing that we can ever be given. And we have to look after our lives. So temple is another word for the body. And so in that sense, that's how we've used it. And spa, for us, is another way of saying space. Take some space. It's your space. Put the two together. And our goal is really to remind everybody to take some time for themselves every day.
So you had the name, but you didn't have the business plan, you didn't have any products. So tell us, how did you and Mark create this?
I used to worry about a business plan. I used to feel like we've got to understand how long this is going to take, how much money this is going to take, and it used to bother me. And Mark said, you know what, Liz, we've had a lot of money at our fingertips in the past. We don't have that, so we're going to have to draw from within, and we're going to have to use everything that we can do to make this business successful, but it's going to have to be one step at a time. If you worry too far into the future, we won't do anything. I mean, we are risk takers, we're quite adventurous, but we took a blank sheet of paper, and I remember thinking, I've given all these ideas and these names to other businesses. What if I don't have any more ideas? So I was 40 and I was kind of doubting my own abilities, I guess. And I took a big artist pad and I thought, I'll start with a sensitive skin line and we'll have a cleanser, mask, serum and moisturiser. And I put my pen to paper and I said, how about be gone, be calm, be still and be strong? And the names just flowed out of me and I just said to her, I'm back.
Yes.
And you know, it was just amazing. We've never thought too deeply about it. We've just got on with it.
But so how do you actually create the products? Where did you go? How did you...
Well, obviously, if you've done that for a long time, you have connections. And so we knew laboratories and we knew packaging designers. And so you're kind of connected. But we went to a new laboratory, actually, in Suffolk that I'd never worked with before, my home county. And we also worked with an amazing laboratory in Switzerland. So new people who didn't know us, but they knew of our reputation. And so we just had to explain our concept and inspire these people to work with us because we were tiny. We hadn't got the big numbers of Body Shop and Virgin. So we had to just share our passion and our plan. And we're still working with those people today.
Go on, break it down for us though. Okay. How did you make the cream? How do you do it? You know, did you sit down with these scientists and say, hey, we want it Mediterranean.
Yes.
We want it replenishing.
Yes.
We want it...
Yes, I start with the end in mind. I think I have a good sense of using the phrase, what women want. I think I do know what women want. And I think texture is really important. I think I've watched women for years, and men for that matter, you give them a product and they try it on the back of their hands. So they're kind of feeling the texture and then they smell. So texture and fragrance is really important. But then it's about results. You've got to have great results. And so that was important to us as well, because people will buy anything once, but if you want to engage them, you've got to have them come back and say, that is the most incredible eye cream I have ever used. And that's the end in mind. I visualise what I want people to say, and then we come back and I have a team that do that now, but in the early days, Mark would take the packaging perspective. He loves design and he loves engineering, so he would look at the packaging, and I would work with the chemists and use layman's language really, and say, I want it to feel like this, I want it to look like that, and then they stir the pots and they do the magic, and we would say we want Mediterranean ingredients, so we want tomatoes or whatever. So it's conversation, it's like cooking. Just like cooking, and you and I could talk about cooking
but you
forever.
know, like, we could, but like facial creams,
yes.
Your cream, award-winning.
Mm-hmm.
Truffle. Mm-hmm. Which won what prize?
Beauty Bible, best anti-aging product. Yeah, we still have that prize.
Best anti-aging product.
Yes.
So that's chemistry, isn't it?
Yes.
So you had found the chemistry to make it, but expressed it in a very Mediterranean
If I use
way.
that's probably a very good product for me to explain that process.
Yes.
Because we were in Switzerland. It was actually coming up to our 10th anniversary in Temple Spa, and the laboratory people were talking about another product, but they said, how are you going to celebrate this? Is very monumental getting to this point. And I said, well, with champagne and maybe some chocolates and as I said that, I started thinking, well, wouldn't it be amazing if we could create a product out of the ingredients that are synonymous with celebration? Diamonds, gold, silk, champagne, chocolate, truffles. And when you engage with someone, if you inspire them, they catch it. And I've been very fortunate to work with people that have said, I've got it, I know exactly what we need to do. And so out of that wording, that language, came a product. And then, of course, 5 years to get that product perfected to the standard that we felt we wanted to get to.
And obviously, since that origin, you have a number of products now.
Yep, many. The range is nearly 100 products strong. So it's very wide range.
And doing well?
Amazingly well. It is. We're really blessed. Yeah, the brand is doing really well and the business is doing really well. So Yes, I think we feel we're just at our tipping point, which is very exciting.
Now, you went to Harrods, did your little presentation. Mm-hmm. Normally at Harrods it takes 3 years for something to get processed?
Well, it's quite funny. We were ready to launch in a spa. That was going to be our first experience, a spa that's very close to our head office and home. And they were building the spa and we were going to launch, and they had a newt infestation. So building was delayed, and we just thought, oh my goodness me, we've got products coming into a warehouse. If we don't sell them, we're out of business before we've started. And so again, similar situation with some friends. I said, I guess we've got to go to Harrods. And one of the friends just said, well, you can't just walk into Harrods. You know there's a 3-year waiting list. And again, that is the best thing you could say to me, because it's like, well, I'm going to circumnavigate the waiting list. And they did indeed say they wouldn't take a meeting. And so they said, put your products in a jiffy bag. Mark said, I'm not doing a jiffy bag. And he created an amazing presentation, handcrafted it all weekend, and we dropped it off at the head office. And I remember they called within a couple of minutes and said, are you the person that just dropped off the parcel at Harrods? And I wanted to say, no, that was my secretary, but actually, no, that would be me. Yeah. And they just said, would you like to cut? Your products are amazing, actually. And when
were you still in the store?
We were just having a coffee in Starbucks behind, and so we said, yes, we're here.
So you went back in?
We went back in, and we went into the buying office, and we walked in, and we could see the staff like bees around a honeypot with our products in the middle, and it was just one of those moments that you thought, oh my goodness. And within a week we were in Harrods, and here we are today, 13 years later, and doing really well in that store.
So you're in Harrods, you're in Selfridges.
And many spas.
Yes.
And then we have our beautiful
So spas all over the country?
Yes, all over the country, and Greece and Turkey, and more planned. So.
And products on some of the airlines that you...
Yes, that's worked really well for us as well, and providing amenity kits and products for people who are turning left when they get on the plane, which is always nice, and it's great awareness for us. And we've had some amazing contracts. We had American Airlines for 5 years, and it was like our bank. It was unexpected, and I used to sort of think, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have £1 million investment? And we never have. We've never had investment. It's always come through just doing what we do, and then you get these breakthroughs like an American Airlines contract, and that was truly like our bank for 5 years. So, yes, and we still have some airlines now, which is great.
So, back to the products. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, what do they really do for you?
Ask any girl. You know what? Number one, I think they boost self-esteem. I think they're a tool in the hand to make you feel better about yourself, and that's a good thing. But then there is a process. We do have a skin. We are getting older. We do need to preserve and look after what we've been given, and the natural aging process means that there are areas that need a bit of extra help. So a moisturiser will soften and protect the skin, and it will make it feel better. But it's what you should do. It is the right thing to do, I say.
Yes, but what about, look, if you're hurting inside, Liz, and you've got a low self-image, a bit of cream isn't going to make much difference, is it?
There are deeper issues, aren't there, that can't be fixed. And in fact, one of the things we do say, this won't be fixed with a whiff of an essential oil. And that is true. We make no promises about that at all. But I have seen women in our business. We have a beautiful business called Spa to Go, which is where we have consultants that bring the spa concept into private homes. And I have seen women literally get transformed that might start with them using a product. And then what comes with that is, I'm actually gaining some confidence here. I'm gaining some self-esteem here. I'm actually starting to look at myself in the mirror and love myself. And so if we're a tool towards that, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Now, you're a Christian, Liz.
I am.
And you often speak about your faith as a Christian. Have you always been a Christian?
I don't ever remember a time not having a relationship with God. No, I was brought up in a Christian family, so that was very much the language and the lifestyle of our family. So I've never known anything different. I've had times when I have felt very distant, or I've wandered, if you like. But certainly for the last 20 years, it's been very much part of it is my life.
So how does your Christian faith affect your business?
Well, I guess really it was born out of an absolute passion to do something differently. And Mark and I took a vow many years ago not to live an ordinary life. And I think that's a prayer that's definitely been answered. And what we've done is quite extraordinary, really, because we're just two very ordinary people that have a passion to do things well, to be passionate about excellence. And for me, if I just think about the fact I serve a creator who created this incredible world and chose us to live in it and have life and breathe life into it, then why wouldn't I take that same expression into business? And so I think it affects the ethics. I think we're very driven by generosity and being kind. It's not always,
Yes.
easy, but in business. But it's an expression of what I'm not a preacher. It flows out of what I am and what Mark is, really.
Are there areas in business that you didn't do because you were a Christian? Did you hold back because of your values and principles?
Well, my choices for our spa treatments would be very centred on a Mediterranean lifestyle. So in that sense, we don't take ourselves into the New Age community. That is not something I'm have any interest in, but I suppose we would avoid anything that is in that area because we're very central to what we've got a wonderful platform, and Mediterranean is
Yes.
the most incredible platform. That is, it has no boundary. It doesn't have a political strain about it, and it just is what we centre ourselves on. So for me, it's been fairly easy to stay in that. But no, we're fairly careful about things that would pollute that.
Yeah, you don't test on animals?
No, and we never have. To be fair, no one does really. There are a few people that do. I just think we're fairly transparent about our products and about our statements, and I think we feel a very open brand. So we've expressed it through that, really. And yes, we are careful about the ingredients that we use, and we don't exploit people. That's as important, if not more important, than animals. So that's been... But we don't shout about it. That's in there, but it's not something that we use as a marketing platform.
Now, it's true to say that this whole industry, the appeal is a majority women, mm-hmm. and a minority is the men. Why is that?
Well, that's an interesting one. Well, men is a growing market, definitely. I think that guys are becoming far more understanding that I may not always look like this. So I think the market for men is growing. Our market is predominantly women, but we've got some male consultants working in our business, and we have guys working in head office. So I think just it's history. Women love products. As a little girl, you play with dolls, and that kind of goes to makeup, and then it goes from there to, hopefully top to toe.
But you would encourage men to use your products?
Yes, anyone. Basically,
anyone.
If they breathe. Yes, I think that we try and make our products unisex in appeal. Now, obviously, we have one or two girly products, which are sort of pink and fluffy and lovely. And we've got those, but on the whole, we find we have got a very mixed audience, and you use the product, so.
I do. Okay, but go on. Make a comment on my skin. I'm Greek Cypriot.
I think you are a great advert for Temple
All right,
Spa.
so go on, tell me that.
Great.
What would you advise? I mean, I do use your products, but what would you advise for somebody like me?
I think one of the things that guys generally don't do, but they're starting to do, which is good, is exfoliate. They shave, and then I look at men sometimes, and I think you haven't got a moisturiser on. You shaved, and that's about as much as you've done today. And I hear guys say, "Well, I don't use aftershave." Like, well, you should actually, because it is beautiful to take that moment to have an aroma, to look at yourself in the mirror and think, actually, I can exfoliate, get rid of these dead skin cells, which men have more of because they shave, and then moisturise and just protect. And that's the very minimum that you should do. And I think I have seen a difference in your skin since you've used truffle. I can see it.
What about these dark patches here?
We need to fix that.
Yeah, need to fix that. These wrinkles. Yeah.
Well, don't say that.
No,
Well,
but I suppose it's because men, when we were teenagers in our 20s, 30s, we didn't use products. I think it's for me, probably a much more recent.
Oh, I think it is, but I
discovery.
think the onslaught of the metrosexual man means that he wants to look good, and that isn't a gender choice. That's basically he accepts the fact that skin is dry. We do get wrinkles, we do get dead skin cells, and we've noticed even in our spas the number of men having treatments and facials, not just massages, is really a growth area.
Okay, let's go back to business. Okay, someone's listening now. They've got a heart, passion, and they've listened to what you've done and what you and Mark have pioneered. As you look back in hindsight, what advice would you give someone listening who wants to be a pioneer and start out in business?
I think one key thing is that you have to accept that it's going to take twice as much money, it's going to take twice as long, and your sales will probably be half as much. So economics don't work. They really don't. You've got to face the numbers. You can't ignore the numbers. But I think you've got to know your subject. And I meet people and they say, oh, I'm thinking of opening a restaurant. And that's just because they like cooking. It's going to take way more than just having a hobby or an interest. If you want to go into something, you've got to know your subject really well. I don't think there's that many gaps for things. So therefore, if you're going to do something, it's because you want to do it better and differently and have something unique about what you do. And you have to take the time to have that picture. There's a lot of dreamers, but it's no dream running a business. It can be really, really tough. So to endure, you've got to have your idea, you've got to know your numbers, you've got to know that it's going to be, you won't take a holiday for a long time. You've got to be prepared to work 6-7 days a week, and then the benefits come later if you put the time in and the effort and the hours, if you like, at the early stages.
Now, when you moved on from Virgin V, okay, you had this sabbatical, and you're still thinking about, obviously, your experience was in these kind of products, but there were so many products. So how did you create another niche when there's already enough products? What was it? Was it your branding? What was it?
Well, I suppose for us, we would have to say it was having control. It was not having to answer to anybody and feeling if we want to do something, if it feels right, then we can do it. And I don't have to consult with anybody. I'd never had that opportunity. I'd always work for someone else and serve their vision. We had a vision and we wanted to serve it as well. And so, no, there wasn't a gap, and there certainly wasn't a need for another skincare company. But I think we felt that if we could combine beautiful products, beautiful packaging, with great ingredients and beautiful textures and fragrance and names, they're very characterful names, that some of our personality would come through it, because it is like being parents of a child and then looking at that child and thinking, oh, they're just like me there, or they're just like him there. And I think we do feel that Temple Spa is a reflection of us, and that was what we wanted to start with. We only started with probably 20 products, and we thought we'll do those well, and if they do well, then we'll do some more. And having the airline contract gave us the funding to actually widen the range and then be able to do what we do today.
But how did you get the airline contract?
That really is another miracle. There was a person who was connected to the airline industry, and he had known Richard Branson, and we'd worked with him when we were in Virgin. And he said to this person, oh, what are the Waroms doing? I haven't heard from them recently. And he very cleverly said to them, oh, it's top secret. They're working underground, actually, on something really secretive. And that only just, conjured up, I've got to know about it. And we met him, and we showed him our range. And he said, I think I know exactly who you need to talk to. And it ended up being Scandinavian Airlines. He said, I know that they're looking to refresh their amenity kit. Long story short, our products went out to Stockholm. and the buyer, opened the parcel, and they'd already decided to take another brand in. So I don't know really why we were in the mix. And they opened the parcel and they literally got onto the agent straight away and said, have we made a commitment to this other company? And they said, no. They said, don't. We want to go with Temple Spa. And our savings had literally gone down to £2,000. That wasn't even enough to pay the mortgage and survive.
You'd used up all your assets?
Yes, not because we weren't making any money. We were spending money and we weren't making any money. And the next day, we had a phone call to say, Scandinavian Airlines are going with you and they're going to bank £58,000. So our bank account went from £2,000 to £60,000 in 24 hours. And that's why I often say to people, you know, the darkest hours before dawn, keep going. We all have these moments where we think, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can carry on. And you have to keep the faith. And that's happened to us on many, many occasions. So yeah, airlines have got a special place in our heart because they were our bank.
So for people listening, Liz, who are in business, maybe have their own business, maybe it's going well or they're struggling, you know, what would you advise them about the future?
Well, so long as you feel there is future, you have to just keep the vision. You have to keep that in front of you all the time. Only last year we did a 5-year plan, and that was a roadmap for us. That felt like that was a good thing to do because although I said we didn't necessarily do a detailed business plan in the beginning, obviously the scale of the business is such now that you have to keep your eye on the future. And I think you have to know the difference between tactics and strategy. And a lot of people get those things mixed up. Tactics are what are the tactical things that I can do right now that will affect my business now. But at the same time, you've got to keep your eye on the future of where you're going with something. And I think often people get the two mixed up. They either spend all their time thinking about the future and not the now, and they're losing customers, or they're not keeping their eye on their staff or whatever it is now. And then the other conflict is that you look at now and you're not thinking about the future. And I think what we've tried to do is always balance those two.
Those two. Now, obviously, you left school at the age of
16.
You didn't go to business school. You don't have an MBA. What do you think about people who go and do an MBA?
Well, I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. If I don't have children, but if I had have had children, I think I would have absolutely encouraged them to go for their education. And if you're going to be in business, that's got to be the ultimate. But what that doesn't do is give you empirical knowledge. Empirical knowledge is knowledge that comes through experience. And there's nothing that can exchange experience. And I'm fortunate that I'm in an industry that I've always been in, so I sort of know it very well. So it wouldn't interest me to go to business school because it would probably ruin me. I'm very instinctive, so I do what I do instinctively. And I'm grateful for that because I have an influence over 2,000 women who also have their own business. And for most of them, they're instinctive. They're using their people skills and communication skills, and they wouldn't have a formal business training. Some do, but the majority don't. So
you and Mark, how do you see the future for yourselves and for Temple Spa? What's the future?
Well, I think for us, a market we haven't tapped is America. We are in many hotels in America, about 60,000 rooms a night. So there's a lot of people knowing about
your products in 60,000 rooms a night.
Yes.
So that's a good little
We've cracked the hotel industry in the States. But I think there's an opportunity for us to really expand the business there. And we've got some great people that work with us. And so I think increasingly we feel that we must dip into the future and remain visionaries for the business and have the big idea and then inspire the people around us to carry out those plans. And that's the benefit of growth is you can work with good people, but they do need a leader. You know, we all need a leader, and for now and as long as we can see, that's our role. But we'd like to helicopter above rather than necessarily being in the detail.
So you still feel you have the energy and the creativity to keep going and growing?
Yes, you should have listened to us at 1 o'clock in the morning last night. It was like Mark was saying, well, who are we going to charge this hour to? Because it's just, we're full of ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't anticipate in the near future doing what Jo Malone did and sold her name and her products?
No, that is not in our heart. It really isn't. We love the ownership. We love the fact that we have no debt. We've never borrowed. We've never had investors, shareholders, stakeholders. So we've loved that. No one can ever say never. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say, especially as a Christian, because you're not giving God any place to, influence your future. But for now, we're loving what we're doing, and we can't see that changing anytime soon. So.
Now, explain to us your home and your office.
They're very close.
Where are they situated?
Well, our home used to be a farmhouse. So actually, when we moved, we had no idea what these buildings would be used for. But now we have our home, and that's our house. And then we're surrounded by barns. And all of those barns have been turned over to Temple Spa offices. So it's beautiful. I have no excuse for being late to work.
No, not. And how many people have you got working there?
We have about 50 employees, and some work at the warehouse, which is 5 miles down the road, and we have about 20 people in head office and then some field people as well. So it's a lovely team, big team.
So you look back and you've had a pretty successful career, but you look forwards with anticipation for more.
I think I have been blessed with a wonderful career. I really have, and I suppose now I am of an age where I can influence other women, and I've got a voice, and I treat that, with great care. I realise it's a position of influence, and I use it wisely. And I find increasingly now I'm being asked to speak at different events, and we have charity work we're involved with, and a great church that I'm very involved with. So we have a life outside of Temple Spa, and I think that gives us balance, and it keeps us dreaming and thinking bigger.
What kind of charitable work are you involved in?
I would probably say more from a giving point of view and an encouraging point of view. Our church has a massive activity with the homeless. Our church is in Brighton, and we support that financially, but also with product. And also Mercy Ministries has always been something we've been very close to, residential programme.
What do they do?
Mercy really is a charity founded by a wonderful friend of ours called Nancy Alcorn, and it's a residential programme for girls between the ages of 14 and 28 who've got on the wrong side of the track, but the depth of their problems can't be fixed in a quick counselling session. So it might take 6 months, a year to really unravel the depth of what they've gone through. And we feel because our products, our brand are about giving self-esteem, but to people who've possibly already got a good self-esteem. So it would be right that we would support those that haven't. It's been taken from them. So they're really our key charities.
What would you say, Liz, to anyone listening? We're listening to someone, you look good, you've been very successful, and they might be feeling, I haven't been successful, maybe a sense of discontentment, and really don't know what the future's all about. What would you say to somebody like that?
I guess really it's about knowing what your giftings are, and I would say a prayer. I would honestly, even if you haven't got a relationship with God, my tendency would be to say, why am I here? What was I meant to do? I need help. I do. I've got to know where I'm going. And perhaps you're wandering financially, or in your marriage, or in your career. And I've always felt that's a prayer God can answer. And I've seen that happen in people's lives, where if they've kind of surrendered the future or where they're going and a lack of hope. I'm not saying things happen instantly, they don't. It's a journey. But I think that's the best advice I could give anybody, because it's got to be something beyond ourselves, really, hasn't it?
Well, it does really, doesn't it? What do you do to relax? What are your hobbies?
Well, we live near the beach, and so I absolutely love to get outside and to walk the beach. We're in the South Downs, so that's an amazing place to be outside. Entertain, we actually really love to cook. And so having friends over and cooking supper, or just hanging out together if it's the summer, sort of having a swim together, having a weekend together. We have a lovely house, and so I enjoy searching for things for a house, and you know, we're always developing things. So for us, that's relaxation, and obviously travel. But yeah, I love to be home and entertain and cook, and just the usual thing. I'm really ordinary, actually, and I just love to be with people that I can be myself with.
So you said about 100 products already. Do you keep buzzing with ideas for more products?
All the time. I'm just an ideas person, so I can listen to a sentence and suddenly think, that's a great product name. And I write it down and then think of a product around it. So we're introducing less products now because we've got an amazing range and we need to sell what we've got and refine those. So yes, I'm a developer, so I'm always thinking of new ideas.
And one of your most recent additions to your collection is a CD of music.
Yes.
What birthed that?
Well, we felt that we had touched all of the senses in Temple Spa. We had smell, we had feel, sight, you know, we'd done all of that, but we didn't have a sound. There was not a sound of Temple Spa. And when you go into spas, of course, they play lovely, relaxing music. And when our consultants go into the home, they might take their own CD and put some chill out music on. And then we suddenly thought, well, why don't we have our own music? And we met a very wonderful couple, Chris and Abby Eaton, and he's a composer. Abby's an amazing composer and singer, and she's one of our consultants too. And we came together and said, well, wouldn't it be amazing to create something that's like Repose, one of our relaxing, beautiful face creams, but do that as a sound. And so we have an album that was playing when we started today, and it's just fabulous. We love it. And Mark and I literally put it on every night to go to sleep. It's on his iPhone, and that just goes on as gentle music, and it just transports you to a place of tranquility.
Liz, you're a fascinating woman. And so is your husband. So 40 years of marriage.
I know. Amazing. We've just been on holiday. We went on a cruise, and
first cruise you've ever been on?
Yes, it was, and we were a bit sort of hesitant whether that was going to be what we wanted to do, but we loved it, and so it was like a honeymoon bubble all over again. So yes, it was amazing. Yeah, 40 years, it's incredible. Feels like yesterday.
Well, Liz, and to your husband Mark, I'm very aware of your kindness, generosity, and the work that you do with needy people as well. But well done for stepping out of Virgin V, setting up Temple Spa, and we wish you well for the future.
Thank you.
Liz Warom.
Thank you.